Welcome back, councillors. The meeting is now resumed. Are there any apologies? There are no apologies. I now call upon the Leader of the Opposition, Councillor Jared Cassidy, to address the meeting. Councillor Cassidy.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, a budget is all about priorities, and this Lord Mayor has them all wrong. This budget should have been a genuine COVID response, but instead this was business as usual. This budget will be remembered as the one that finally quantified the depth of ineptitude and mismanagement of Brisbane's Metro bus project that has seen a scandalous $300 million blowout under Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner's watch. But yet again, this craven Lord Mayor would have you believe it's the fault of everyone except for him, the person who has been in charge since day one and whose fingerprints are all over every facet of this epic disaster. Metro is a shambles this Lord Mayor will never live down, and nor should he. Make no mistake, mismanagement of major projects and the general sloppiness of this tired, lazy administration has hit the budget bottom line harder than any damage wrought by COVID-19. It's the same old story that gets worse every year. Once again, this LNP administration has inflicted a budget of wasted opportunities on the forgotten suburbs of Brisbane. Here was a golden opportunity to show the people of Brisbane how their council understands the pain that many are going through and to do our bit for freezing rates for an entire year. A council that realises that in desperate times, every little bit helps. Councils ranging in size from the metropolises of Melbourne to the minnows like Lockyer Valley get it. They've cut their cloth to suit the circumstances, kept rates on hold for a whole financial year. So have councils across the country, like Northern Beaches, Gosnell, Palmerston, Carnarvon, Darwin, Harvey, Murray, Serpentine, Jarrahdale and Broome, just to name a few. But the simple truth is that, as usual, this arrogant LNP administration simply doesn't get it. When Brisbane entered its worst economic downturn since the Great Depression, residents cried out for a Lord Mayor who would take decisive action and formulate a comprehensive plan to tackle the economic and social fallout from COVID-19. Instead, they got a leader who went missing in action, barely emerging on Wednesday to deliver a budget that merely pushes the pain further on up the road. It's a half-baked budget full of half-baked measures to deal with COVID-19. Instead of genuine rates relief, we got a deferral through to September, when residents unable to make ends meet in March will somehow miraculously come up with the money at the very same time JobKeeper payments are set to stop. We got a 6-month rate freeze, which merely back-ends a rate rise, yet again greater than the inflation rate. So, come January, rate bills will spiral, while many are still reeling from COVID-19's economic setbacks. Another 2.5% in July, and 2021 will see a 5% rates increase for the people of Brisbane. The surplus that this Lord Mayor is crowing about has increased from $75 million last year to $195 million this year. Why, in the middle of an economic crisis, is this Lord Mayor prioritising accounting over people? We welcome rates relief for people on JobSeeker, but question why there is nothing for those ratepayers on JobKeeper. It's yet another half-smart solution, ignorant of reality. Make no mistake, Chair, this Lord Mayor is cynically using COVID-19 as a convenient catch-all for Brisbane's economic woes. A budget with a solid foundation would have enabled this city to absorb the COVID-19 effects and still grant genuine rates relief for Brisbane households. Again, it's simply a matter of priorities. But, Chair, this is a Lord Mayor whose idea of leadership was to announce a wage freeze for the lowest paid workers in council for 2 years, while arrogantly keeping his $100,000 expense account intact. There are a few constants in this modern life, Chair, but one thing you can bank on is that every council meeting this Lord Mayor and his deputy will snipe at Labor councillors about things that are happening up at William Street. Well, right back at you, Lord Mayor. It's about time this administration listened to their LNP colleagues in William Street, like Tim Mander, who described a COVID-19 wage freeze as a sleight of hand accounting trick, not real budget repair, or like Deb Frecklington, who described the wage freeze as tearing up legally binding agreements and trashing the principles of a good faith enterprise bargaining process. This is a budget so short-sighted in terms of future labour force requirements that the proposed employment program allocation of $4.6 million has been slashed by 30%, and the youth traineeships and work program almost halved. Why didn't this LNP administration fund a fair dinkum rates freeze for Brisbane? Well, the simple answer is they've wasted so much money on poorly planned projects and borrowed money like a problem gambler to paper over the cracks. Over the 12 years since a Labor state government made Brisbane happily debt-free, this LNP administration has run up debt at the staggering rate of $1 million each and every day. And what have we got to show for it? To try and explain this shameful economic excess away as a change to accounting standards is laughable. That somehow adding assets to the balance sheet increases debt. Seriously, give us a break. If the Lord Mayor hadn't squandered this money, we would have been prepared for COVID-19. Chair, Transport for Brisbane epitomises the failings of this LNP administration that no amount of silly Brisbane ads can disguise. At last, this budget has forced the Lord Mayor to reveal what he refused to tell the people of Brisbane a few weeks ago when he rolled out the latest redesign of his ongoing metro shambles. A staggering $287 million extra will now be spent on the mini metro than promised. Well, at least promised in one of its iterations. This is a hideous blowout that goes to the type of administration this Lord Mayor runs. He simply makes it up as he goes along. A Lord Mayor whose idea of leadership is to blame the workers on the Queen's Wharf development for his multi-million-dollar disaster. Heaven forbid a fair day's pay for a fair day's work. How lame, how pathetic. Metro always invokes a sense of deja vu for me, Chair, because it's the project that's often talked about but never delivered. Let's not forget what a metro was supposed to deliver. I remember the announcement by Graham Quirk and his then deputy, Adrian Schrinner, of a grand subway system to rival Paris or Montreal that would be as transformative for Brisbane as the London Tube. There were glossy brochures showing trains arriving at underground stations. People could have been forgiven for believing this elaborate hoax. The expensive comms campaign was certainly impressive. The current Lord Mayor reaffirmed that Metro would be an underground rail system. He said, well, it is a metro, just like the London Underground is a metro and the Tokyo Metro is a metro. So Brisbane was to get a subway like the 400-kilometre long London Underground and the 300-kilometre long Tokyo Metro. Well, nothing could be further from the truth. We know exactly what it is now. It's a small busway extension with an above-ground bus stop at the cultural centre. And you've got to pay an extra $287 million for it, Brisbane. This farce of PR over planning has come to define this shambolic administration. The Lord Mayor of Blametown likes to say it's everyone else's fault, but this project was a test of his leadership. He should stand up and take responsibility, but like so many other times, he's gone missing in action. Remember Adrian Schrinner talking about supporting local jobs during COVID? Well, I guess that was more talk than action as well, Chair. This budget reveals Brisbane's local bus build is being gutted from next year, with $67 million ripped out of the budget and out of the pockets of local suppliers. New ferry terminals in this budget shows $48 million over the next 3 years, but last year's budget had that at $65 million for the same period. So that's a $16 million cut to Brisbane's public transport infrastructure. Chair, another area where this misguided budget has really missed the mark is active transport. This was a budget that should have capitalised on the post-pandemic surge in active transport and stimulate long-term behavioural change. Instead, this LNP administration has been caught flat-footed. Brisbane desperately needed a comprehensive mobility plan beyond one or two ultra-expensive projects. Brisbane needs a comprehensive mobility plan to get this city moving. We are stuck in reverse while the rest of the world takes giant steps forward. Labor has been proactive in presenting a plan to get this city moving. We aren't going to sit around and wait for the Lord Mayor to start this conversation. We have engaged with key stakeholders like the RACQ, Queensland Walks, Bicycle Queensland, Space for Cycling, and we have spoken to residents, and the message is clear. This city needs to rethink the way we move people. It's more than roads, public transport and bikeways in isolation. We need a coordinated approach that gets the most out of every dollar. We will continue this engagement in the absence of anything coming from this administration. We should be seeing a record investment in new footpath infrastructure, not just because it's desperately needed, but because we have a generational opportunity to implement a serious mobility plan here in Brisbane. We can't talk about mobility while Brisbane is lined with busted and broken footpaths. We hear the chair of the Public and Active Transport Committee paying lip service to making Brisbane more walkable, but this budget shows just how hollow his words are. What we get is a woefully inadequate allocation of just an extra $1.2 million. With 40% of Brisbane streets not even having a footpath, this will barely scratch the surface of the surface. But wait, Chair, there's less. The travel behaviour change budget has been gutted to the tune of $433,000. That's a program to get kids to start riding and walking to school. It seems they've even given up on encouraging a culture of riding here in Brisbane. There's a raft of items like enhancing cyclist safety, bikeway reconstruction, and constructing key bikeway links. All up, $100 million over the next 3 years has disappeared from the budget just like magic. This Lord Mayor would make David Copperfield proud. There's $100,000 less for traffic calming in the suburbs at a time when we should be doing more to make it safer for walking and cycling. Move Safe Brisbane has been completely cut. It was to be $1.6 million this year. It seems the safety of pedestrians in our outer suburbs is taking a back seat this year. In fact, the active transport capital line shows that over the next 3 years, capital is down $268 million from last year's projections. That is insane. What is going on here in Brisbane? This is a Lord Mayor who refuses to learn from his multitude of mistakes. A Lord Mayor now blundering headlong into another disaster in the making. His top-of-the-head plan to spend $550 million on a series of inner-city green bridges. This project is so poorly planned that the Lord Mayor couldn't even convince his own local LNP councillor that the Belbowrie Bridge was anything other than a dud. And so much for the stunts that these bridges are being fast-tracked. The new green bridges item in last year's budget showed $508 million to be spent by 2023, but this year's budget is just $253 million over the same period. That's not fast-tracking, that's the slow lane. It's the same in the suburban roads network, where a familiar tale of funding cuts to the forgotten suburbs is being told. District road projects have been cut drastically, down from $3.2 million planned for this year to now only $1.8 million being spent. Local access network improvements to suburban roads in the suburbs is facing a $216,000 cut, and there's $100,000 less for road network improvement design. A quarter of the major traffic improvements budget in the suburbs are carryovers from the 1920 financial year. Funding to the traffic management systems has been given the red light. there was a $1 million underspend in the 2019-20 budget, and now it's been cut by $3 million more this financial year. Chair, a further drain on this budget is the failed city cycle scheme, which the LNP administration promised Brisbane would cost us nothing. We're only halfway through the contract and ratepayers have been forced to dump $20 million down this black hole. The French advertising giant that took the LNP for a ride, as usual, and we're all paying for it. That shameful waste would pay to fix every broken footpath in this city 3 times over. The worst is yet to come. Transport partnerships show city cycle expenses going up on previous projections each and every year. Chair, this council talks green, while 70 councils around Australia have embraced the environmental and economic benefits of FOGO, food organics, garden organics. You don't have to travel far to see FOGO in action. They're doing it down the road in Ipswich. A FOGO bin service would drastically reduce the 80,000 tonnes of food scraps from Brisbane households that end up in landfill each year and slash the amount of harmful methane it generates. Like the thousands of people who responded to a FOGO survey we recently launched and joined the debate on ABC Radio, I believe this budget offered a timely opportunity to start the ball rolling on FOGO. But as usual, this Lord Mayor was missing in action. Reducing Brisbane's waste and litter in this budget reminds me of the old saying, the more things change, the more they stay the same. The only contribution this administration makes to waste and litter is to fill our bins up with glossy brochures. Instead of FOGO, what do they propose, Chair? A return to the past, providing a rebate on the cost of a compost bin or a worm farm. Not much good for units and townhouses around Brisbane. Instead of forging ahead with green initiatives, what do we get? A cut of $323,000 to the Love Food, Hate Waste program. We see the Energy Efficient Light for Brisbane program cop a $1.5 million cut from its $5.1 million allocation this year. The administration has slashed $500,000 from the Carbon Neutral Council and Community Emissions program. A further $200,000 is gone from the Community Conservation Assistance program. The Conservation Reserves Management program is down $1 million, and Green Heart homes and schools and Green Heart sustainability events have also felt Adrian Schrinner's razor. There will be $400,000 less spent on street sweeping, so much for clean, and $50,000 less for tip shops, so green's clearly not a priority either. But it's parks where the Lord Mayor's words are particularly hollow, Chair. What happened to the new era of funding supposedly funded by CBIC profits? This year, $800,000 will be ripped from the Upgrade Neighbourhood Parks program and a further $250,000 slashed from improving park amenities. But delivery of new parks for Brisbane that has taken the biggest hit, it's down a whopping $5 million. But perhaps worst of all, the LNP will pause the curbside collection program. This is an LNP administration that can easily find $6.5 million a year for feel-good advertising in the lead up to an election, no less, but can't find the exact same amount to provide an environmentally responsible and wildly popular service. This has angered thousands of residents and is another step back into the past, using COVID-19 as an excuse for bad policy. There is always the fear, Chair, that once something is taken away by any level of government, it may never return. This LNP administration continues with the institutionalised rip-off of small businesses who pay rates in this city. Small business pays the same amount as residential ratepayers, $350 a year, but don't get the recycling bin unless they pay extra. Chair, at a time when the creative industries need all the help they can get, this budget has quietly removed a host of items. Just like the LNP at every level of government, support for the arts is non-existent. It's only Labor who have stumped up to support this vital industry. This Lord Mayor is missing in action. Creative Brisbane is gone. Likewise, new city artwork and public art on buildings and infrastructure is gone. Long-standing projects like the Suburban Renewal Task Force and the Suburban Construction Management Task Force have also disappeared, Chair. This year, there's no direct allocation for extended library hours on Saturdays, nor Sunday openings in suburban libraries. And half the funds for library refurbishments and enhancements has been cut. All of the sport and recreation project grants have been removed, and the operating expenses for sport and rec facilities have been slashed by more than half. Grants to men's sheds also appear to have gone. Throughout this budget, we see a similar theme: cuts for the next couple of years, then some miraculous reinstatements of funding that conveniently align with the 4-year council term. No doubt the LNP will tell us that this is their idea of a COVID response. But what they don't say, Chair, is that once these projects are gone, they're probably not coming back. Economic development has also gone behind closed doors. Are we no longer a city of many skills with that entire $600,000 program, which included projects like supporting small startups in the suburbs, no longer in the budget? There's no trace of the Brisbane 2022 New World City Action Plan, one of Graham Quirk's pet projects with a $26 million budget and 11 Vision 22 projects, now all gone. Support for our community groups and sporting clubs couldn't be more essential than right now, Chair. Instead of committing to a comprehensive rescue package, the Lord Mayor limped in with a woeful $5,000 water rebate a few weeks ago, barely scratching the surface. This rebate only applied to about 150 of the 600 plus clubs on council sites. He, of course, true to form, went around blaming everyone else for the club's woes. While quick to apportion blame, he never wants to be part of the solution. It's not in his nature. We know this council receives hundreds of millions of dollars in pure profit from urban utilities, but is only willing to part with $1 million to help clubs. And this doesn't go anywhere near the level of support that is required to keep the doors open at so many of these organisations. They are operating on council sites. The Lord Mayor has a responsibility and cannot keep hiding from his duties. Finally, Chair, more than 1,200 community-based organisations and community events will be slashed. The Lord Mayor's community fund has been cut by more than half, meaning community events simply won't happen. Things like school fetes, movies in the park, support for organisations like Care Kits for Kids, who provide incredible support for children in foster care, will not be funded under this Lord Mayor's budget. The papers contain footnotes that try to blame the state for these callous cuts. What an incredible cop-out. When this Lord Mayor chose not to create further grants programs that are not at the discretion of local councillors, he ruthlessly chose to play petty political games instead of helping community groups that are on the ropes. That says everything you need to know about this budget and about this Lord Mayor. His values and priorities are all wrong. This budget is merely written confirmation. This was the Lord Mayor's opportunity to show the leadership this city desperately needed as we emerge from COVID. He ducked, he weaved, he hid, and Chair, he failed.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. I'll now call upon the Chair of the Finance, Administration and Small Business Committee, Councillor Allen, to reply. Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'm proud and privileged to be here this morning in wholehearted support of Lord Mayor Adrian Trinner and the 2020-2021 Brisbane City Council budget. The City of Brisbane represents a population of 1.2 million people and almost 130,000 businesses. Brisbane was once a small town, but now boasts a plethora of world-class facilities, industries, recreation and lifestyle options that are the envy of most cities. To ensure this city remains at the forefront and continues to meet its very bright destiny, we must afford it the solid financial platform required to achieve its aspirations and potential. The 2020-21 budget, my second budget as Chair of Finance, comes at a time when the world is experiencing a pandemic like none in living memory. It has created significant social, health, and economic hardship and uncertainty. For this very reason, it was imperative that this administration prepare and deliver a budget for the coming year and beyond to chart a course for the city in these challenging times. While other levels of government have vacillated on delivering a budget, this administration, the Schrinner administration, has a strong history of sound financial management and was always intent on delivering a pragmatic and responsible budget for the city, as residents would expect. Fiscal responsibility is a term thrown around loosely. However, such responsibility has always underpinned this administration and its ability to maintain key basic services and deliver the projects and programs that ratepayers demand, even during this time of uncertainty. The budget speech affords me an opportunity, on behalf of the administration and council, to give confidence to Brisbane ratepayers that we continue to serve you. We continue to serve you not only in the basic services you require, but also through investment in the growth of our city, backing our local businesses, and importantly, relief for residents in these testing times. But along with the basic services residents expect, we're also offering more to see and do in a clean, green, and sustainable Brisbane. We're bringing neighbourhoods and suburban retail precincts back to life and making it easier for first homeowners to get a foot in the door. Through the fast tracking of major construction projects, we will create jobs now and develop the infrastructure that our growing city needs. With the Greater Brisbane region's gross regional product estimated to be more than $170 billion, which is half the state's economy, and with more than 880,000 workers employed in our city, it is vital that Council's budget supports and encourages sustainable economic growth. The electors of Brisbane resoundingly endorsed this LNP administration with a strong plan and vision just a few months ago. In preference to a Labor alternative, long on personal attack and smear, but woefully short on a plan or a vision. And based on Councillor Cassidy's response today, which was full of half-truths and indignation, nothing much has changed. There is still no plan and no vision. An opposition that is happy to criticise, but has no discernible plan of its own. He states that we have the wrong priorities, but clearly the people of Brisbane don't think so. It is now more evident than ever that the people of Brisbane have indeed made the right choice. They saw the value in voting for a strong, experienced LNP team, a team which is committed to the prosperity and protection of this great city. No one will deny that times are tough, but with our proven track record of responsible financial management, we will help to weather the storm of COVID-19 and the associated economic challenges. We have had to make tough decisions under difficult circumstances, just as many families have had to do. But we hope that the residents of Brisbane appreciate that these tough decisions have not been taken lightly and will earnestly support the city's recovery. Now, turning to investing in Brisbane, it goes without saying that investment in our city is key to its livability and growth. The importance of this administration's investment plan has never been more critical than during this COVID pandemic. Through the fast tracking of major projects and delivering vital infrastructure upgrades, we will deliver a stronger economy with more local jobs and supplier opportunities. We're stimulating Brisbane's economy with an $840 million spend on infrastructure in the next financial year. That's investment in jobs, supplier opportunities and city growth. From the construction of major projects like Brisbane Metro, Indooroopilly Riverwalk, to investments in new and upgraded ferry terminals and the fast tracking of green bridges, we are demonstrating our commitment to the residents and businesses which call Brisbane home. While Councillor Cassidy is quick to criticise our projects, we are getting on and delivering the infrastructure that this city desperately needs, like Kingsford Smith Drive and Brisbane Metro. While it is evident Councillor Cassidy has only a rudimentary understanding of the challenges of project delivery, having never been in administration to deliver one, I am sure he'll be one of the first to drive along Kingsford Smith Drive and will be lining up for a ticket on the Brisbane Metro. I would note that many of these projects would normally be the responsibility of the state government, but we are getting on and doing them. This administration has an enviable record of project delivery encompassing tunnels, bridges, major road upgrades and other key projects. When last in office, the ALP delivered very little in terms of infrastructure, with the ICB being the only one of note. Moving on to some specifics, this administration is undertaking a massive investment in public and active transport. Adding to the already high quality bus and CityCat public transport options is our Turn Up and Go Brisbane Metro, the first of its kind in the Southern Hemisphere. Brisbane Metro will slash travel time for commuters, improve services, deliver jobs and position our growing city for the future. Metro will be a positive boost for our local economy, with approximately 2,600 jobs to be created during construction, along with supplier opportunities. And Councillor Cassidy, you spoke about a transport plan. This administration has a transport plan. You're still talking about one. On to green bridges. We'll see the fast tracking of green bridges at Kangaroo Point and Breakfast Creek, with $23.2 million in funding to start work and create new job opportunities sooner. These bridges will take cars off the road and give people a new way to travel. We want to make Brisbane a city that's connected and easy to travel around by foot, cycle and public transport. New and upgraded ferry terminals and CityCats will also feature. Construction of the South Bank and Howard Smith Wharves ferry terminals will see $14.6 million invested to provide greater access to these dining and entertainment precincts. In 2021, Council will invest in 2 new double-decker CityCats, creating much needed local jobs. We will acquire 7 new CityCats over 4 years at an investment of $37.1 million. In this new financial year, we'll continue our delivery of 60 new air-conditioned buses and provide a $144.8 million public transport operating subsidy. We'll continue the popular free off-peak travel for seniors and ferries. Sorry, interruption, no. This popular service has had 2.2 million passenger trips taken by seniors during the off-peak period between the beginning of October and the end of May. It's certainly very, very popular service. Turning to parks and green space, Brisbane is blessed with more than 2,140 parks, or a network of over 6,600 hectares. Residents right across our city should be proud of the wonderful parks and green spaces on offer. We are the envy of visitors in other cities. A further $55.9 million will be invested over this term for the development of new suburban parks and $12.9 million for upgrading neighbourhood parks. Such is our dedication to iconic parks in Brisbane that we're investing more than $100 million over the next 4 years. $72.6 million will be invested over 4 years to deliver new sports parks across the city, including at Runcorn, Nudgee and Heathwood. With respect to the ever-popular dog off-leash areas, we'll be funding $1.1 million worth of upgrades across 12 locations. And of course, no discussion on parks could be complete without reference to Victoria Park. The gem in the future of Brisbane's parks will be the transformed Victoria Park. Victoria Park will be an iconic public parkland, the biggest new park in 50 years. The transformation is job creating and offers many opportunities for local suppliers. Over this term, we'll invest $83 million to start bringing the Victoria Park vision to life. Now, clearly some debt will be required to build this city-shaping infrastructure, and we only take on debt to build or acquire key infrastructure and assets. Councillor Cassidy's comments with respect to debt are clearly driven by a lack of understanding about recent accounting standard changes and the benefits of borrowing to provide key infrastructure that this growing city desperately needs. Based on Councillor Cassidy's comments today, he has limited commitment to building the infrastructure that this city needs, and we would be destined to mediocrity. And he conveniently chooses to not mention our QTC credit rating, which continues to be strong with a neutral outlook, and our strong standing with the Queensland Audit Office. Turning to backing business, business. It's well known that small and medium business is the engine room of our local economy, with almost 130,000 businesses registered in the Brisbane local government area. We know that businesses make an enormous contribution to our local economic output. They are the lifeblood of our suburbs and CBD and employ some 880,000 people in our city. As an administration supportive of the aspirations and endeavours of local businesses, we know that they bear the brunt of severe economic contractions as we are now experiencing. Now more than ever, we need to buy local and support our suburban shopping precincts and communities. Council has a role to play in the provision of certain measures that provide an environment conducive to business survival and recovery post-COVID. We want to help businesses recover, and we also want to encourage more residents to buy locally. We're rejuvenating our neighbourhoods with a $99.2 million revitalisation spend by our Village Precinct Projects program. Our Village Precinct projects create more vibrant neighbourhoods right across Brisbane suburbs. It's about creating shopping hubs where local business can thrive and that provide increased amenity for our communities. Ultimately, we want to see Brisbane as a city of bustling neighbourhoods. Further, as restrictions are lifted, we will undertake localised promotional programs to bring customers back to our shopping precincts. We'll provide additional support to business with the establishment of the Brisbane Business Hub to provide mentoring, networking, advice and training programs to help business recover and prosper. Our team of business liaison officers will continue to work with businesses to provide support and open opportunities. From a procurement perspective, we will continue to focus on supporting local businesses. Council has committed to 80% of spend with local businesses, and for the financial year up to May 2020, this initiative has supported 3,596 South East Queensland businesses, equating to a $920 million spend with local suppliers. With an annual procurement spend of approximately $1.3 billion, our policy is proving to be a real economic boost for the local business community. In recognition of the hardship faced by Brisbane businesses, the Lord Mayor announced a reduction in the payment terms for invoices from 30 days to 7 days for business suppliers who employ less than 20 people. Early in the lockdown, the Lord Mayor announced a reduction on a range of business fees, including advertising sign fees, entertainment permits, outdoor dining and mobile food vehicles, to name a few. As at the 29th of May 2020, there have been some 2,274 businesses who have lodged applications for fee reductions. This has resulted in more than $732,000 of reduced fees. That's money straight back into businesses' pockets. These reductions will be continued until the end of December 2020 and will provide millions of dollars in relief to Brisbane businesses at a time when they are most in need. To further support the economy, the Economic Recovery Task Force was established by the Lord Mayor in April. And as the chair of the task force, I can say that work is well underway to assist the Brisbane business community. Through the task force, we have engaged with business and industry stakeholders through meetings, surveys, and a submissions process. Our recent Brisbane Business Survey yielded some detailed insights from more than 700 responses we received in the month-long process. Council's decision-making has been informed by extensive consultation with peak industry bodies and Brisbane businesses. We are working with the business sector to rebuild Brisbane's economy, a task expected to extend over a few years. More than $5 million has been allocated directly to the task force for specific targeted initiatives, with further economic recovery initiatives embedded in other sections of the budget. And we're identifying red tape and regulation across council that inhibits the success of businesses. We want to make life just that little less complicated for businesses already scraping by in this difficult climate. Brisbane's economic situation is evolving, and our task force is designed to be agile and dynamic in its response. This isn't about a short-term band-aid fix. Rather, it's a focus on the future and longer-term outcomes to seek for Brisbane businesses and residents. And while many organisations have been impacted, so too have community groups and not-for-profit organisations. Recently, we have provided a one-off water rebate of $5,000 to 189 eligible clubs to assist with the costs of maintaining their grounds, and we continue to lobby the state government to consider their position on bulk water charges. And we'll continue to provide a 100% rebate of general rates and levies to over 290 not-for-profits until the end of 2020. Additionally, $3 million will be provided in direct assistance to these groups to assist with their recovery efforts. These groups do so much for our communities, offering great sport, recreational and community-based outcomes for our residents. These are challenging times in which we live, times no one would wish for. I want to instill confidence in residents and businesses that we are diligently crafting a targeted plan to bring Brisbane through this period. And while Councillor Cassidy is quick to demand further expenditure, the reality is we are facing a very uncertain future. And accordingly, we must act responsibly and take a balanced approach for the benefit of the whole city, today and into the future. Accordingly, we have budgeted an operating surplus of $195 million. However, we are conscious in uncertain times that this can be quickly eroded. During the course of the 1920 financial year, our operating surplus reduced by over $200 million due to unforeseen circumstances such as COVID. And Councillor Cassidy, while you've said suggested that many programs have actually disappeared, they actually haven't disappeared. They are merely in the core programs. Now, turning to relief for residents, this administration has recognised the significant impact that COVID has had on Brisbane residents. Earlier this month, the Federal Treasurer confirmed that Australia was facing its first recession in 29 years. No one could have foreseen the significant financial impact this pandemic would have on our city or country, with significant loss of income and rising unemployment. We have seen unemployment in Brisbane alone increase to over 6%, with many people in Brisbane financially suffering because of the COVID pandemic. We recognise that now, more than ever, it is important to keep the cost of living down for Brisbane residents. As part of this budget, we have continued to keep rates increases low, with a special COVID-19 rebate applied to all ratepayers to guarantee no increase on their rates for the first 6 months of the financial year. This will mean, on average, owner-occupiers in Brisbane will only see a rate increase of 1.25% across the next financial year. Given the number of times that Councillor Cassidy asked about this in recent weeks, I'm pleased that he now has his answer, and would remind the Chamber that this is the first time in 35 years that there's been a rates freeze in Brisbane. And this is in stark contrast to the multiple 6% rate increases under Labor. We won't be taking lectures on rates from Labor. Turning to some of the specific relief initiatives for residents, this administration will continue to take a sympathetic view towards residents and businesses who are struggling to pay their rates during this economic downturn. In March, the Lord Mayor announced that this administration would allow ratepayers to defer their rates for up to 9 months without accruing interest. Since that announcement, more than 6,200 ratepayers have contacted Council requesting a deferral or to enter a payment plan. We anticipate that once the 9-month deferral period ends, a significant number of ratepayers will want to enter payment plans. For those ratepayers, we will not be charging interest if they choose to enter a payment plan. Now, turning to the job seeker rebate. With unemployment increasing as a result of the pandemic, there are more people than ever on the job seeker payment. As Council is seeking to provide targeted support for those most in need, we will offer a one-off $250 rebate for owner-occupier ratepayers who are receiving the job seeker payment. As part of last year's budget, this administration announced a rates rebate for first homeowners in Brisbane. The rebate applied to first homeowners in Brisbane who purchased a home less than $750,000 from the 1st of October 2019. Since October last year, more than 2,200 first homeowners are receiving the rebate, saving them on average $160 per quarter. As part of this budget, we will be expanding the rebate to give 100% discount to first homeowners who will be undertaking new builds or buying new properties. Our initiative, alongside the federal government's $25,000 home builder program, will not only reduce the costs for homeowners, but also support jobs and growth in the construction industry. Council will continue to offer one of the most generous pensioner rebate schemes in Australia. The pensioner rates rebate will rise by 2.5%, meaning a full pensioner will receive a 40% rates rebate up to $1,040. A part pensioner will receive a 20% rates rebate of up to $486. And at this stage, 43,765 pensioners are estimated to receive a pensioner rebate in 2021. These initiatives to support our residents have been achieved in the face of declining revenue for council, and certainly some tough decisions have had to be made in delivering the budget, some of which have been unpopular. However, financial responsibility comes at a cost. Councillor Cassidy has gone to some lengths to describe the budget as half-baked or half a budget, but it is Councillor Cassidy who sees things in halves and half-truths. He sees only the expenses side of our revenue and expense position. He pays no attention to the revenue impacts of COVID, which is estimated to have a $142.5 million hit on our revenue in the coming year and could well be higher. He sees plenty of opportunity to increase expenses in this environment, but says nothing of the revenue impacts. This is typical Labor budgeting. Spend, spend, spend. It's magic pudding budgeting. They live in a naive financial utopia with one eye closed, blind to the full picture. And he's calling on this administration to do more while his mates down in George Street are happily raising bulk water charges by 3.5%. Mr. Chair, Councillor Cassidy believes that the rates freeze should have been for a longer period. To have such certainty about the year ahead, Councillor Cassidy must have a crystal ball that helps him see into the future, though clearly it was faulty leading into the March elections. I would also note that Brisbane continues to have the lowest minimum residential rates in southeast Queensland. In conclusion, Mr. Chair, getting residents back on their feet and Brisbane open for business again will ensure our city remains a great place to live, work and relax for years to come. This obviously isn't a budget of excess, but equally, it isn't a budget so constrained that we can't deliver most of what is required. It is a measured budget approached with a sense of caution where hard decisions have had to be made, but also a willingness to progress initiatives beneficial to the growth and betterment of our city. Let me be clear, this budget is about continuing to deliver during trying times. A budget builds to help Brisbane rebuild. From fast-tracked green bridges, double-decker city cats, an $840 million investment in infrastructure, to 7-day payment terms for small business suppliers, and increases in rates rebates for first homeowners, only this administration understands the needs of and is delivering for Brisbane ratepayers. We mustn't forget, Brisbane has a history of coming together to help our community in crisis, and we can all do our part to make Brisbane better for everyone. By supporting key infrastructure investment, initiating relief for businesses and residents, and buying locally, I have no doubt that we'll again be a thriving city following the pandemic setback. Again, it is with immense pride that I stand here to support the Lord Mayor's budget. This administration does not take this responsibility lightly and has every expectation that the Brisbane of tomorrow will be even better than the Brisbane of today.
Yeah.
I would especially like to thank the council team for their terrific contribution to the development of the budget, including the CEO, Colin Jensen, Bill Lyon, the CFO, Paul Oberly, and of course the finance team that have been working on this budget for many months now, including Tanya Nish, Mark Russell, Catherine Swift, and many others. A truly outstanding effort. Very well done. I would also like to acknowledge the Lord Mayor, the Deputy Mayor, the Chairs, Michael Kachera and Gemma Long and Christian Vick from my office. I commend the budget to the Chamber. Thank you.
Lord Mayor, may I have a resolution to adjourn the meeting until Wednesday, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move that this meeting now be adjourned until 9 a.m. on Wednesday morning. Is that the motion you're after?
It is. What I'll say is it's been moved by the Lord Mayor, and can I have a seconder, please? Seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that the meeting be adjourned until 9 a.m. on Wednesday, the 24th of June, 2020, to allow for program information sessions to be held later today, on Monday, the 22nd of June, 2020, on the budget programs. All those in favour, say aye and raise your hands.
Aye.
Aye.
Please lower your hands, and those against. please say no and raise your hand. Thank you. The ayes have it. Enjoy your information sessions. We'll see you back in the meeting on Wednesday.
Lord Mayor, I think he won the US Masters.